This video is gonna be a bit technical, so for those of you who want to skip it, feel free to do so, and you can just read the description and you'll basically know what this video is all about. The number one thing that you have to do when it comes to maximizing your profit is to use fertilizer. And fertilizer doesn't work the way most people think. It doesn't get used up and it will just stay there as long as there is a plant or the plant doesn't rot. So those are the two requirements to keep your fertilizer. What this means is that when you want to use fertilizer to maximize profit, you cannot afford to let any crops rot and you cannot miss a single day of planting. There is a workaround, and that is to delay your harvesting, but you have to be careful not to delay it until the next season or the crops will rot. Alright, so the way fertilizer works is that it reduces growth time by 1 day every other day. And it might sound kind of weird, but as you can see, I've written down all these plants that I've tested. It works like that for most plants except for plants like corn, green bean, and tomato. So any plants that doesn't require you to replant, those are the ones that benefit the least from fertilizers. Yeah, and watermelons also, it doesn't work on watermelons, as you can see. You don't want to take a look at this, you should be looking at this part here. And I assume that it should be the same for pumpkins, so fertilizer is not the best for those two. In terms of profit analysis, I didn't test everything, and you can see that I've only tested just these plants right here. At a glance, what you can do is you can just look at the profit per season, and you might think that, oh, the best plants are these plants, and you wouldn't be totally wrong. But we also have to consider other things that you might want. So the first factor that you have to consider is called planting delay, and this is especially important when you use fertilizer because, as I've mentioned before, when you plant with fertilizer, you cannot afford to miss a single day of planting. Otherwise, the fertilizer will disappear. That means that if you're going to plant the seasonal crops, any of the seasonal crops, you have to time your planting schedule. Otherwise, you could end up wasting money or losing fertilizer. I'm not going to spoon feed you, so I'm going to link this Google Sheet in the video description, and you can make a copy and you can try things out for yourself. I might have made a mistake or two, so yeah, just remember that this is not perfect, and yeah, I might have made some mistakes. And you might also notice that the numbers are not exact. You can see that potatoes are 3.7 and then wheat is 3.2. I noticed that some YouTubers mentioned that wheat, the yield is 2 and then the potatoes yield is 3. And this is not correct. I think they just took whatever Rain said and then they just pasted it on their video. But I've tested it over and over again. And yeah, which is why I immediately noticed something was wrong in their video. So yeah, this is about the number that I get. Potatoes 3.7, wheat about 3.2, sometimes 3.5. And some additional notes that I have is potato versus onion, because these two are very, oh no, they're not even close. But the minimum number of harvests that you want with potatoes is 2, and I will show you why. So if you get at least 2 harvests with potatoes, it's still going to be more profitable than onions. But if you only harvest one time, which doesn't make sense, you shouldn't be doing this. You can see that it completely loses out to onions. So yeah, I think 3 harvests. Realistically, you're only going to get 2 harvests from my experience if you don't use fertilizer. And if you use fertilizer, I normally get about 3. And you can see that it's still slightly more profitable than onions. And I guess normally onions I get 5. Yeah, so potatoes versus onions. choose potatoes if you can. And that is going to apply the same way for all the other plants. I'm going to explain how I count the number of harvests in one season. Let's take an example, something simple like so let's say I'm using fertilizer with potato, and the way that works is it's going to take 7 days, but note that on the 7th day I can harvest and then I can replant the potato. So what that means is that this is how we're gonna count it. So let's say 7 days. Let's assume we start on the 1st. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then that's 1. And then 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 2. And then 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 3. And then 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then that's 4. With fertilizer, in one season, you can get 4 harvests with potatoes if you start from like the 1st, or I think the latest that you can go with potatoes I find is spring 4th. Yeah, the 4th of spring. I think you can start on the 5th of spring, but I haven't tested this. I've only tested that with kale and carrots. Yeah, you can start a little bit later, like on the 3rd and the 4th, and you harvest it on the 1st of spring, and it will still be okay. I'm not particularly good at explaining things, so please try things out for yourself, and hopefully you can figure it out. Otherwise, I'll see what I can do. Like maybe other people in the comments can also help you. This doesn't mean that wheat and sugarcane and corn are useless, because corn, the first and foremost, corn is actually very useful because corn doesn't require you to replant. So you plant it one time and then you can just harvest it over and over again. Something you have to be careful about when it comes to corn is the first harvest you will actually make a loss, not a profit. And this is something that I don't see a lot of people discuss. So you have to harvest corn at least twice to make profit, because the subsequent profit will be here. And again, just remember that the best part about corn is that for 2 whole seasons, you don't need to do any replanting. It will just allow you to harvest over and over again. Corn is also good for animal feed. So from Irwin, it costs about it costs exactly 100 dinks. But if you calculate it, how much it costs when you make it yourself, it costs about 55. I have a small widget here just to estimate how much corn you need to plant in autumn and winter. But this is not perfect because it assumes that you get the maximum number of harvests in one season. What I recommend is just to get whatever numbers is here, you get a little bit more, like 1,000 more or something. Wheat and sugarcane are still like good options because let's say there are not enough days in summer to grow onions. What you can do is you can plant wheat while you wait for autumn to come by, so before you grow cabbages. Also, if you are trying to level your farming, I recommend to stick to wheat, sugarcane and corn, because the grain mill will give you a lot of XP. I might have missed a few things here and there, so whatever that I've missed, I will add to the video description. I'm still not feeling great because I'm really not used to talking, and yeah, this was a lot of time and effort to make. So I'm kind of burnt out right now. So yeah, I'm gonna stop it right here. And thank you so much for 100 subscribers, and yeah, thank you for watching, and enjoy Dinkum.